Hi, I'm Paul Perdue, the Infrastructure Nerd. Today we're going to take a quick look at some of your more advanced reporting options that are available to you no matter what software you use. We're going to take a look at it with tabs 3 and Practice Master because we've got it set up there. But these same sorts of methods can be used in virtually any software that you may be using for billing and accounting or for practice management. Many people want to get information out of their system that either isn't accessible through the canned reports or maybe isn't accessible exactly organized the way they want it to happen. Maybe they want to see receipt allocation in a way that's different than the way their billing software does. Or maybe they want to see their billing productivity information organized differently or by month with 3-month ranges, and their software doesn't do that. Maybe they want to see their docketing or their calendaring with some specialized purpose in mind, like trademark attorneys need to keep track of foreign registration and maintenance dates, or trial attorneys need to keep track of court dates. Maybe they have unique needs as far as how they want to see the information about their cases. Maybe they need to see certain bits of information in a certain report organized in a certain way, and they just can't get it out of their software. Let's take a look at what we can do here. We're using Practice Master for this example. My first way of getting information out is to simply use the report writer that might be built into your practice management or billing and accounting software. Now, some packages have these internal report writers, others have them as add-ons, some don't have them at all, but it's a good place to start. For instance, this is a fee recap report that we've developed that simply asks the user to input a range of dates, and I'm going to put about a week's worth of dates. And we're going to display this report. And we're going to go down to the other timekeeper, and what we see then is all the time for this particular timekeeper summarized by day with billable and non-billable hours, total amount, total rate or average rate. Very simple, and it may not be fancy stuff that you need, but if it's something that your system can't do or do exactly the way you want it, the packaged or canned report writer that comes with your software may be a great way to do that. Now, another more advanced method is to use something we call ODBC. ODBC is a nerd term. It really just means Open Database Connectivity, and it is a way that most software packages have of opening up and allowing access to their data to ODBC compliant programs like Excel or Microsoft Access, or a host of others. Crystal Reports, there are a lot of programs out there that are ODBC compliant. And the general theory is that you set up these ODBC drivers and then you go into the software and set up something called a query. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the client file, and I'm going to pull the client ID, the city, and the state into Excel. Voila. Now, I probably would have put the name in, but I'm using my system and I have to protect confidentiality here. So here's a very simple example of how you can have access to any bit of information that's in your billing, accounting, or practice management software simply by installing a driver that lets you pull that into Excel. Now, the power, of course, is once you get this data into Excel, or even prior to getting it into Excel, if you get fancy with your query, you can do just about anything you want to it. You can order it in certain ways, you can format it in certain ways, you can present it in certain ways that you couldn't inside your software. Now, the most advanced use of this technology that we take advantage of here, and I don't know of many that do it this way simply because it's so complex, is to use programming within Microsoft Access or Microsoft Excel to really come up with a one-button type approach. The example I just showed you, the person who does this has to know a little bit about how the data is structured, a little bit about Excel, a little bit about ODBC. It's something we can help you set up, and it's something that we have clients that we've trained or shown how to do it on their own. This next thing isn't usually that way. Here, for instance, is a productivity report that organizes information by client and then who did the work on that particular matter for whatever date range we're talking about, showing hours and amounts and what percentage of the hours and amount that particular timekeeper contributed. Okay? Now, the difference between this and the way that I just showed you is that this is a one-button approach. Somebody, Candace, on our staff, one of our subcontractors, wrote this into Access using Excel so that the client simply goes in, specifies this date range, hits a button, and this information spits out in this exact order, in this exact organization, in this exact way. And that's what the client wanted. It wasn't available exactly like this in their billing system, so they paid to have this developed. It's a one-button type approach. All the hard work is done by whoever codes it, and then the user merely has to know how to push that button and specify those two dates for the beginning and ending. Here's another example of that. This is the same client, Dun and Dunner, aren't I clever, where we want to take two originators by matter, be able to keep track of what percentage of origination they get, so you can have one person getting 70% of origination and the other getting 30%, and then show how much they originated for those two different types of matters. One's a client-based origination, one's a matter-based in this example, and then who did the work. So what this shows is that for Robert L. Renner, who is RLR, working as originator 1, he brought in $462,000 for this time period, and here's who did the work. So this is more of an eat what you kill sort of approach, showing you who brought the work in and then who did the work for that work that was brought in. Obviously, if you have a partner, you want them to be eating less than they kill. In other words, you want them to be bringing work in and distributing it to the associates. Flip side of that is if you have an associate, you want them to be killing and eating at the same time. You want them to be bringing their own work into the firm. That's what this report was designed to show. Again, it was a situation where the billing system that this firm was using didn't quite organize the receipt allocation information this way. It had it all, it just didn't organize it this way. So this is what I call a throw up in the air and see where it comes down sort of report. We have the information in a report, but it's not organized the way we want it. So we pull that information from the report using this advanced programming technique. We organize it the way we want it, and we present it to the user this way. Well, there you have it. That's start to finish what we can do, and therefore what just about anybody can do with the right set of skills as far as doing custom reporting from your billing and accounting and from your practice management software. Now, one caveat, one thing to be aware of. In a report writer, if you pull up a canned report, you are starting with that canned report. When you use these other means, these ODBC means, you're actually starting from scratch. With ODBC, you're making a connection to raw data in the billing software. You have to know how it's organized, and you start from scratch in what it is that you're doing. So it's not for the faint of heart. You do have to understand how things are structured. You do have to understand the technology, and you do have to have the skills to put them all together. But that's it. If you have any questions or any issues, or you'd like help with something like this, give me a call.